In this video, I'm going to compare the Samsung Galaxy A52 5G with the OnePlus Nord N10 5G. Let's go ahead and take a look. So the backstory on these phones, the Samsung Galaxy A52 5G is a more budget version of the flagship Galaxy S21, and the OnePlus Nord N10 5G is a super budget version of the OnePlus 9, basically. The A52 5G comes in at under $500. The N10 5G is under $300. And you can find these phones even cheaper when you're on prepaid. So these are two really budget-friendly devices that are offered at a low price if you want to get a 5G phone and you don't want to spend a lot of money on its flagship. So let's take a look. So the overall size of the A52 5G, it's 6.3 inches tall, 2.9 inches wide, 0.33 inches thick. The Nord N10 5G is 6.4 inches tall, 2.9 inches wide, 0.35 inches thick. So very similar size devices. These devices are very similar in weight as well. The A52 is 6.7 ounces. The N10 is 6.7 ounces as well. So very similar in weight. Another way these phones are very similar is that they are very plastic devices. They are definitely not premium feeling, but that's okay. At these price points, it's not expected to have any glass or premium materials on the outside, especially if you're gonna slap a case on these, which is something I would do anyways. The A52 comes in with a little bonus of IP67 dust and water resistance, so you can dunk it in water up to 1 meter for 30 minutes. That is not something that the Nord 10 5G offers. For the display, similar size screens to the Galaxy A52 is 6.5 inches. Same thing with the Nord N10 5G at 6.5 inches. The Galaxy has a Super AMOLED display at 120 Hz. The N10 5G has an IPS LCD display at 90 Hz. Both of these phones also have around the same resolution, almost exactly the same. They're both 1080p displays, so it's full HD, and PPI is north of 400, so you got 407 PPI on the A52, 406 PPI on the Nord N10, which translates to a very good screen, especially at these price points. I do appreciate that the A52 has a nice high refresh rate, and also the Nord N10 5G, although not as high as the Galaxy, still has a 90 Hz refresh rate, which is higher than the regular 60 Hz refresh rate found on other devices such as the iPhone. So I do appreciate that both of these phones are super smooth when it comes to scrolling. And you're going to have Gorilla Glass 5 on the A52, Gorilla Glass 3 on the Nord N10. The A52 has Android 11 with Samsung UI on top, and the Nord N10 5G has Android 10 with Oxygen OS on top. The story on the OS and on the software is that you're getting a very customizable version of Android with the Samsung UI. You could customize a lot of stuff. It has its own unique feel and features. It's just gonna make it feel like you have a Galaxy S21. That software is gonna feel very much alike. On the other hand, the Nord N10 5G has a very stock version of Android with Oxygen OS. As far as updates, Samsung is trying very hard to give their phones a couple of years of updates, right around 3. And the N10 5G, unfortunately, is probably only going to get one update of Android, and it's still currently on Android 10. So we're still waiting for that update. But regardless, both of these versions of Android are going to get you to work all your apps, download all your apps from the Google Play Store, no problem. As far as processors go, you both get Qualcomm Snapdragon processors on both of these devices. You get a 750G on the Galaxy, 690G 5G on the N10. And both of these are going to be perfectly fine. They're equally as powerful almost. You won't see any differences in performance really. These are mid-tier to low-end processors. For the RAM, both of these are very similar. Also, they both have 6 gigs of RAM, which is more than enough for most people. You shouldn't have any problems running into having multiple apps open in the background unless you're a super power user. So the average person will not use up all that 6 gigs of RAM, and you should be fine in most cases running apps in the background. For internal storage, both of these phones have 128 gigs of storage, and that's more than enough for everybody. You'll be hard pressed to find somebody that has to use up all their 128 gigs of storage, unless they want to put every single movie and every song downloaded on their phone, or take tons of hours of video on their phone. And if you do that, you also have the option of having both of these, having the expandable storage. So you can have a micro SD card slot and expand the storage. So that's a very welcome feature. You have a quad camera setup on the back of the A52. You got a 64 megapixel main camera, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel macro, 5 megapixel depth. Nord N10 has a 64 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel depth, 2 megapixel macro. So both of these have a very similar setup for the cameras on the back. They both film video in 4K resolution, so both of these cameras should be great. But if I had to choose which one is a better camera, I'm going to have to give the slight edge to the A52 5G, because Samsung always produces some better cameras than the other budget competition. Selfie camera department's a little bit different. The A52 has a 32 megapixel sensor with video up to 4K. The N10 has a 60 megapixel shooter, but it only films in 1080p. But regardless, both of these should be fine for everyday people taking selfie shots. Both phones offer a headphone jack, which is a welcome addition. Flagship devices don't usually have headphone jacks anymore. So if you have your headphones, you can connect your mic. You could connect it to your car via aux cord to listen to music. It's just a very nice feature to still have in a smartphone. If you have a lot of wireless devices you want to connect to, both of these are equipped with Bluetooth. You got 5.0 on the A52, 5.1 Bluetooth on the Nord N10. Both of these versions of Android Bluetooth are perfectly fine. That'll connect your smartwatch, your smart band, your Galaxy Watch, your wireless headphones, your speakers. All those wireless devices will connect perfectly to both of these phones. Also have NFC on both of these devices, but depending on your region, like in the US, you might not get it. Both phones are rocking the standard USB Type-C for charging. It's the very versatile normal port that's also found on laptops and tablets, for example. For safety, security, and unlocking, you have a fingerprint reader on both of these, except that the A52 has a under the display optical fingerprint reader, while the Nord N10 has a rear mounted fingerprint reader. So different ways of unlocking your device. For example, the A52, you're able to unlock your device without lifting the phone off of a table, which you might have to do on the Nord N10 5G. But regardless, these are both reliable ways to unlock your device. Last but not least, we have the battery. The A52 has a 4500 milliamp battery, Nord N10 4300 milliamp battery. Both of these are average size batteries for a 5G phone nowadays. Not very impressive, because there's a lot of phones now that have 5000 milliamp batteries, which to me is the baseline for 5G phones, having 5000 milliamps. So this is not too impressive. You might be able to get through the whole day, but I doubt it. Luckily, both of these phones have fast charging. The A52 has 25 watt fast charging, which will charge 50% in 30 minutes, while the Nord N10 5G has 30 watt fast charging, which should give you similar results as the A52. So what are my conclusions after reading through all the specs for both of these phones? Well, I could say is that on the spec sheet, both of these are very similar. They're the same size, they have the same amount of storage, they have the same type of screen quality. They're very nice phones, but the tiebreaker for me is going to be the price. The Nord N10 5G, you could get that phone for under $300 fully unlocked, or you could get it on prepaid for around $50 on Metro here in the US. The A52, you can get it for under $500 unlocked, and that one you can get it, I think, around $200 if you go on prepaid. So the price is a big step up on the Nord N10 5G, very much affordable, and you still get a lot of things on there that aren't offered on budget phones. The A52, on the other hand, you might want to pick that one up if you just like a more Samsung flagship feel. This phone is gonna feel like you have an S21 in your hand. Has a little bit better refresh rate, has a super nice screen. It's gonna get probably a couple more years of updates, and the chipset is a little bit more powerful. Other than that, I don't see too many differences, but when it comes down to it, these devices are so similar. I'm going to have to go with the Nord N10 5G just because of the price factor. Both of these phones are definitely good phones to have. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.